Hello. So today I'm going to be making the enchilada sauce, and I'm going to be using my new Nesco smart digital canner for the first time. So I'm excited about that. Can't wait to show you how it works out for me. But anyway, this recipe, I found it online. I've been making this for a few years. It's really good. I like it because it's simple, but it also, I don't have to water bath the tomatoes. I'm just gonna cook it and then run it through my strainer that I have that attaches to my KitchenAid. So I'll show you how I do that. But the ingredients: 20 pounds of tomatoes, 1 large onion, roughly chopped, 1 large head of garlic peeled, 5 tablespoons of chili powder, 2.5 tablespoons of sea salt, and peppers are optional. I plan to go out and pick and harvest some peppers from my garden. And I'm using Tomato Tim's tomatoes that we harvested from our garden. Everything here at Organic Oasis is, you can guess, organic. And Tim and I do this for health purposes. Both of us have some chronic illnesses. I can talk about that in another video, but we're basically really focused on eating organic and pure and clean food. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have a mixture of different tomatoes that we've harvested, and all of these are going to go into the enchilada sauce. I'm just going ahead and I'm taking the core out and cutting them up and putting them in a pot, cooking them, and then I'll run them through my strainer, which will remove all the seeds and the skin. Easy peasy. So right here, I have 15 pounds of tomatoes, and they're cored, they're quartered, and my recipe calls for 20 pounds, but I'm gonna go ahead and just stop at 15 and just change the recipe, by minus a quarter of the ingredients off of each ingredient. So you can see the tomatoes are cooking down. I've had these tomatoes cooking for a while just to cook them down so I can add the rest of the ingredients. Now the recipe says to add chopped onions, and remember, I went ahead and only used 15 pounds of tomatoes instead of 20. And it calls for 1 large onion, roughly chopped. And I'm putting in a medium onion, and it's a purple sweet onion. It calls for a large head of garlic peeled, which garlic is about, 1 head makes about 5 teaspoons. I'm putting in 4 teaspoons of garlic, chopped. And it also says to go ahead and add chopped hot peppers if you're using, and I am using them. They're from our garden, they're jalapenos. And I put about 8 jalapenos in here. And I put some of the seeds in as well because I like spice. Doesn't that look pretty? So now it says basically all we do is bring this to a boil, stirring frequently so it does not stick. Reduce the heat and simmer for 30 minutes. Do not cover the pot so it will start to reduce. So that's what I'm gonna do. So my tomatoes have come to a nice boil, so now I'm gonna reduce the heat and simmer for 30 minutes. I'm going to leave the lid off. The recipe says so that the tomato mixture can reduce. So my enchilada sauce has been cooking for 30 minutes, simmering for 30 minutes. And now I'm gonna turn the heat off and I'm gonna let it cool for about 10 or 15 minutes before I run it through the strainer, just so I don't burn myself. Okay, I'm gonna put my KitchenAid on speed 4 and start straining. So now I have run the enchilada sauce through the strainer. Here is what came out of it. This is all skins and seeds, as you can see. So it does a really good job of removing the skin and the seeds. So no need to do that at the beginning. It saves me a lot of time. Then I have my enchilada sauce right here, all strained, no seeds, no skin. Yay. So now we've strained the enchilada sauce. We've gotten all the seeds and tomato skins out of it. And now the recipe basically says simmer, return to a boil and simmer until it's the consistency that you want. So mine is already looking, fairly thick. I'm gonna go ahead, start it boiling and simmer it for a little bit. So this has been boiling, simmering for quite a while. It has reduced by almost 50%. I'm ready to can this. But the instructions say add chili powder and salt. If you like to heat things up, you can add any peppers that you want at this time. Adjust seasonings to taste. So here's my 5 tablespoons of chili powder, 2.5 tablespoons of sea salt. In it goes. And I'm gonna stir it up. I'm gonna taste it and make a decision on if I should add more peppers or not. I already added a lot of peppers, but we'll see after I taste it. Hi, so the recipe that I have that I'm using, and I will link it below, but it says only add the citric acid or lemon juice if you're water bath canning, but that you don't need to add it if you're pressure canning in this recipe. However, I believe it is recommended, so I'm going to go ahead and put in 1/4 teaspoon just to be safe. I want to make sure that I don't make my family sick. So there's a lot of controversy on this because a lot of people believe if you pressure can the low acid food for a long time, that it kills any botulism spores. Whereas water bath canning, the temperature doesn't get as high. So most people like to add the lemon juice, vinegar, or the citric acid to water bath canning. However, unfortunately, there's just a lot of controversy on how much time is enough time to kill the botulism spores. And because of that, if you don't cook it, if you don't pressure can it hot, long enough, or if your pressure canner doesn't get it hot enough, then you may have a problem. So to be safe, just go ahead and add your lemon juice or your citric acid. For pints, in this recipe, it's calling for 1/4 teaspoon. And if it was quarts, it would be 1/2 teaspoon. I'm leaving 1/2 inch headspace.
Can't live from this big satin. So we'll be miles away. Oh, and the red sky will be melting. Someday we'll be fine.
So I'm doing my second batch of enchilada sauce. I finally figured out how to use a Nesco canner. It's been a little tricky. The instructions weren't exactly clear, so let's see if I can show you the correct way to do it. So I put my 4 cans in, close the lid, lock it. Now, my recipe calls for pressure canning for 20 minutes. At 6 PSI, this gauge that I have on here, the jiggler, is 10 psi, so this is fine. I need to make sure that this is set to exhaust. So it's a little wonky. And I go ahead, I press high. And now I press time. And I'm going to go to 20. And I press start. And now what is supposed to happen is that this is going to start to heat up. As it builds pressure, steam will be coming out. And when this gets to the correct internal temperature, this will actually show E10. And E10 stands for exhaust 10 minutes. And you just kind of wait around and it goes from 10 down to 0 and then it beeps. And at that point, you then take the jiggler and you press it to seal or to airtight. And then you can literally walk away and the machine then will pressure cook for 20 minutes and it will turn off by itself. But you do have to stick around and be prepared when it gets to EO and beeps to change the jiggler from exhaust to airtight. If you're not here to do that, then the machine will automatically turn itself off after, I think, 5 or 10 minutes, and then you have to start the whole process over again. So that's the only wonky thing that I'm not sure I like about this machine. But what I'm figuring out is if I stick around until it counts down the 10 minutes, then I pretty much can go to bed or do whatever I want. The machine will shut off and then it will cool down. Then tomorrow morning, I could take out my cans and everything should be fine. Hi, so I'm really disappointed that I'm going to be returning my new Nesco 9.5 quart digital smart canner today. And yesterday I was so excited. It was coming in the mail. I had received it and was very, very excited. And part of that, I think, is all the hype on the internet and on the chat groups that I'm on about canning and how the Nesco is this great machine, wonderful. And when I looked on Amazon, I realized it's like an 80-20 mix. 80% of people love it and have good success and 20% don't. And I guess I'm one of those 20% that did not have a good experience. One of the things that went wrong right off the bat was when I opened the machine, it had this seal that they tell you to remove, wash it and dry it and put it back on. I could not get it back on. I ended up having to use a spoon. It seemed that one side, the metal that holds it in place, was closer to the lid rim on one side than the other. And I just could not use my fingers or my hands to get it in. And I needed a spoon to push it up. So that was one problem. It seemed faulty. And then I attempted 3 different canning processing times last night. I did can my enchilada sauce. The first batch, I had 4 pints or 5 pints in the machine, and the machine ran through the cycle where it's building pressure, heating and building pressure. Then it goes into the E10 cycle, where E stands for exhaust and 10 stands for 10 minutes. So it's the 10-minute pressure venting cycle that is required when you do pressure canning. And so mine, it started at E10 and it went to E9, and then it started the spiraling. And then after a while, it just went to my countdown, which for my cans was 20 minutes. It did that one time. And then in the instruction book, it basically said if that happened, it's probably because the water you put in, that you filled up the 8 cups that's required inside the canner to start the pressure canning. was too hot. So they said redo it with lukewarm water. So I let the machine cool down, replaced the water with lukewarm water, ran the cycle all over again, and basically the same thing happened. Then I had another batch of enchilada sauce I needed to run, so I tried it a third time. Same thing, it went from E10 to E9, and then it stopped and went to the countdown. So this morning I called Nesco, talked with the technician, and she basically said it would not start the countdown unless it was pressurized correctly and hot enough. And she assured me that my cans would all be safe, that they were canned and they had canned the proper time at the proper temperature, and not to worry about that. But she said, I need you to run a cold water test. It might be something wrong with the heating elements. And so she had me run a test with cold water and a jar filled with cold water in a cold water, 8 cups of cold water, and a 5-minute cycle. And the same thing happened. It went from E10 to E9 and then started the wonkiness. So she basically gave me 2 options. She said you can return it to the store you purchased it, which was Kohl's, and get a full refund. Or she said you can cut the cord, snap a picture of the machine, send us the cut cord picture with your receipt that you purchased it, and we'll just send you a new machine. So after thinking a lot and just reading and watching every YouTube video out there on this Nesco, I just decided I don't want to deal with it. I have my Presto, my very good Presto pressure cooker that I've had and been using successfully. I'm going to stick with that for the time being. You know, I wanted the new technology. I was excited because I thought it would give me, I figured it would give me a couple hours of extra time in my day, on my canning days. I could leave it and go on and do other things. But now I'm just a little uncomfortable with using this. Even my enchilada sauce that I canned with it, even though she assured me it should be fine, there's a question mark here. So, you know, I'm just not comfortable. I think I love technology. I think I'm gonna wait. Maybe I will try the Instant Pot pressure canner. Maybe I will try the Presto pressure canner in the future. But I think I've had enough with this. It was my first time trying and it was a fail. So I'm just letting you know you may buy one and have great success. I know there is a YouTuber that tested all 3 of the canners that I'm talking about, and this one was the one that passed the tests. So everybody likes Nesco because it supposedly passed all the tests and it's the safest canner, digital canner. But 20% of us out there have had problems with the technology. It's just probably not there yet. Maybe in a few years they'll make a new one and they'll upgrade it and it will be great and wonderful. And so I'm not being totally pessimistic about it. I'm hoping that I end up with a digital canner at some point and I have great success with it. But this was unfortunately not my time for this to happen. So good luck and thanks for watching my videos.